welcome to CHGO Red Stars, your podcast for all things Chicago Red Stars. Presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. It's your girl, Sandra, here today. My friend, homie, and colleague, Claire Watkins, a.k.a. the scam originator. Claire, we're back at it.
We're back at it. It's a beautiful day in sunny Chicago, Illinois. A perfect 70 degrees. It's really nice outside.
It's It's June. It's officially summertime shy.
It's true.
I think, for real. And we've got some things to talk about.
We do.
Here on this episode, we've got to do a little bit of a recap of Chicago versus Thorns and the Spirit. We've got to chat a little bit about the opposition looking ahead to OL Reign.
Mm-hmm.
And I just it hasn't been as long as it feels. There's just been a lot of things that have happened.
Yeah, so it's been 1 week. It's been and there were 2 games. We have another game tomorrow, and then a game on Wednesday, and then another game the following Saturday. Is that right?
Yes. So we're really at the beginning stages of the Chicago Red Stars, like match heavy load.
Right.
So over the next week, 12 days really or so, there's going to be a ton of games for the Chicago Red Stars.
There are.
And that's, not something that's unfamiliar, I think, for all the teams in the league, but for the Chicago Red Stars in the regular season, I think this part is new for them.
Is what?
This part is new for them in 2022.
Oh, for this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they didn't play their second home game, and then now they're going to play it next Wednesday. But, yeah, I mean, I think, we'll talk about this, but when you have a schedule like this one, and just to, be really clear about it, they had the game on Saturday against the Portland Thorns. They played the Washington Spirit on Wednesday. They're playing OL Reign tomorrow. They are playing the Washington Spirit again next Wednesday, and then they are playing the Orlando Pride the following weekend. Sunday, yeah, that's right, John. So, so now this is the homestand portion. So the good news about all of these games is that the only away game in these 5 was the one that was played on Wednesday, which leads me to believe, and we'll get to it, that was the big survival game, and then they survived it, and you go on. But yeah, we should start with the game that was played. We were told after the match. Obviously, they had one eye towards this week's schedule, but this game, the game against Portland, they played like a normal game. They got a full week of training beforehand. They had 4 days between Saturday to Wednesday, which Chris Petroselli said is almost enough time to get into some sort of a normal rhythm with recovery, maybe 1 day of training and then travel. But so the Portland game was, I think, pretty normal, however. Yeah,
I think, I think in our preview of it too, we were we want to see it. Mm-hmm. Let's see what's going to happen here. And I think we got a real treat. It was dope to be able to get out to the park, cover a game in what felt like the first bit of decent weather out in Bridgeview for a home game in quite some time. It was Pride Night. Shout out to Pride Night at the Red Stars game. Yeah. So a lot of I think a lot of good vibes and good energy heading into the actual match. We didn't do something we don't typically do score lines or predictions like that on the show, but we do talk a lot about players that we want to see potentially have an impact in these type of games, maybe players of the opposition that we're looking forward to see. And I think in this one, with the score line ending 2-2, I was just this was just a real treat of a game.
Yeah, it was a good game. It I think when you have we talked about this last week, just about how, and I said this actually to a friend this weekend, where I look at the Chicago availability report, and just for whatever reason, every time I look at it, I expect it to improve. Yeah. There's just this cognitive dissonance to having so many first team starters out for the rest of the season that I keep waiting to get one of them back. Yeah. And they're just not coming back. And so I think when you go into a game like the game against Portland, or even the game against Washington, you talk about rotation, but Chicago is going to be in rotation mode all year just because they're not really probably going to have a superset starting 11, because they don't have a number of players that would take those spots. So I think they are going to be experimenting and trying people out. And obviously, like, this week was the week of Jill Aguilera as a winger, you know, and that worked pretty well. I will say that, and the one player that I want to highlight maybe just to start the weekend off, and we can probably have a couple of these. We have a couple of players that deserve some praise this week because they did not lose. I want to talk about Zoe Morse, dude. Dude, Zoe Morse in the three-back specifically.
And that was something that we brought up when we were previewing this game. We're like, you know what? We're real high on Zoe Morse, but we like her in the back.
In the back.
We like her playing out of the back when it comes to the style that we're seeing this team play out and roll out with in 2022. Maybe she's going to be this type of player that's, you know, more versatile, and they feel that maybe they could plug her in higher as well. But if there's an opportunity to keep her, you know, in playing out of the back, I think that's what's most beneficial.
Well, I think based on what we saw in the Portland game, you know, I think that there's something about the way that she plays that is very calm, and her positioning is very good. And so she actually doesn't get drawn into kind of flashy 1v1 defending that much, because I do think that she plays her angles really well. And I think that even alone allows like Tatum Milazzo to feel like she has, like, someone's got her back a little bit more. And they were not swapping a ton, but if they needed to, if Morse needed to track Sophia Smith, or if Tatum Milazzo needed to track Morgan Weaver, they would do that, because Smith tried a couple of times. Smith was trying to find spaces on both sides of the three back. And so I thought that those three, Kayla Sharples, Zoe Morse, and Tatum Milazzo, and I think we've seen this play out in the last couple of games, with one glaring exception being set piece defending, which is not their fault. They've got like 11 players behind the ball when you've got set piece defending. It's like when there's more people back there, that's when they struggle. But I think that those three did a brilliant job this week. And so I want to highlight Zoe Morse. You look at her, like her heat map, you look at her distribution, her long ball distribution, I think it's only improving. And so I'm really excited that those three are settling, because I do think that with that early year injury to Tierna Davidson, there was some question of like, okay, what happens next? They obviously signed Amanda Kowalski, but you cannot place the hopes and dreams of your three back on a rookie. That's not fair. And so I think that those three, with the reps that they're getting, and we saw this reflected in the Washington lineup, don't move Morse. Yeah. Keep her back there.
Just leave
I
it
don't
alone.
know I don't care who needs.
Yeah.
I'll play defensive midfield if we can keep Zoe Morse in the back three.
Yeah. I will take the hits.
Yeah.
I will sacrifice this entire body. No, I feel you 100%. I loved watching taking a look maybe at the pass map a little bit for these two teams, because a lot of what we talked about was maybe some of the similar tactics that we were going to see roll out from both of these teams, and that there was a likelihood that we were going to see maybe some more activity on the wings because of it. And I'm with you. I think in this game, just sort of looking at some of these numbers, I mean, Tatum Milazzo leading the team, not just the back three there in total touches with 79, but Zoe Morse is right behind her with 65. And looking at the distribution, you could just see sort of how like the vibe of just being like, okay, as soon as we get this touch, the vibe is going to be to just play it out wide as soon as we can. And I think with the goal scoring in this one, having Malpew get on the board pretty early, and just sort of seeing how this kind of came to life with Kayla Sharples winning this ball.
Right.
And then sort of just saying like, okay, I see where it's coming. I'm going to intercept this. I'm going to lob it. Ava Cook.
Kind of an alley-oop sort of a situation.
Yes, and you know what? You know who recognized it?
Yep.
The rookie Ava Cook.
That's right.
She flicks this off to Malpew into space, who just continues to just utilize all that, the width on the wing there. And it takes Malpew like 8 to 9 seconds to beat her defender into space, into the box, and slot this goal through for the opening goal really early on into the match. And it was a delight. Again, it was a delight. It was just nice to be there to see this and witness it all kind of firsthand. And I think you and I are maybe sort of speaking to that as being able to be at the game and actually watch this, like getting to see Zoe Morse and her movement live versus on a stream with very specific camera angles, and actually getting to see it sort of in real time was much different. And like Malpew, I mean, we've got to see so much from her last year, and what we're witnessing right now is she's still kind of building on her minutes. just watching that happen, I think we were just like, man, she's good, man.
I mean, yeah, it's relatively rare. It's relatively rare to have that work, and there aren't that many players that can do it. I think Trinity Rodman can do it. I think Mal Pugh can do it. I think Sophia Smith can do it. I think Kristen Press at her best can do it. We saw Sam Kerr do it in the past. Yeah. So I think that those kinds of runs that a striker makes where they're just kind of dragging the defender along, a lot of times in the NWSL, I almost said NFL, which this actually works for what I'm about to say. Usually that ends in a foul. But yeah, no, I think to a certain extent, I'm like, credit to Kelly Hubley because she was committed to playing that whole action sequence clean, and she just couldn't beat her clean. And so I was like, you know what? You go into battle, you play fair, and sometimes you get beat, right?
Or you're not going to beat me.
Yeah, and it was not a situation of people have heard before the adage that either the ball's getting past me or the player is, but not both. Kelly Hubley, props to Kelly Hubley for not doing that, I guess, but Pugh on the ball right now is really pretty incredible, and she's on an immense scoring streak. Obviously she missed a couple games with her injury, but it was a good assist from Ava Cook. It was good distribution out of the back, but I think Pugh is just on another level right now.
I want to maybe start bridging this game with the Spirit game, because what ends up happening in this Portland Thorns game is Portland, they go ahead and they equalize immediately. They equalize, they find the equalizer and level things out. Just 2 minutes later, it's off a dead ball situation. Mm-hmm. Hina Sugita, again, another player that I was excited to take a look at and be able to watch her play, not just on a stream, but live. And then you have Rachel Hill get on the scoreboard as well. Ava Cook picking up 2 assists in this game. So the Red Stars head into halftime with a narrow lead, 2-1 at this point. Mm-hmm. And I think we were chatting a little bit in the press box here, and I was just like, you know what's crazy is that we're looking at maybe the benches of these 2 teams, and you've got Chicago with 6 first-year players available on their bench of the 7 players who are available to sub in, and then you have Portland Thorns that has Christine Sinclair or Rocky Rodriguez or Megan Klingenberg, who's been a boss for the Thorns for several years now. So I was like, well, there's still some things that could probably play out in the second half here. And we didn't even have to wait for actual subbing to take place, because Sophia Smith gets the equalizer in this one. Again, off of a little bit of a dead ball situation, just a couple minutes into the second half.
I mean, a little bit of a dead ball situation. I mean, it's like a double dead ball situation. Ball gets sent in and everyone stops.
Yeah, well, where's it go?
We froze.
What happened?
That was pretty. I mean, it was funny. I do think she got back onside. I don't think she was offside. But yeah, that was one where, first of all, a little bit of a kudos to Smith, because that was not as easy as it looked, where she realized where the ball was, flipped it up kind of behind her, and then it was kind of a blind strike, but she's so close to the goal that how are you going to miss that, right? And even Nair was just what the hell? Well. But yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, that's my whole point, right? Is that I do think the defense did a good job of limiting Smith's ability on the ball. I think that this is not a Portland Thorns podcast, but I do think that Smith and Weaver are still figuring their cohesion out a little bit, and so I do think the Thorns are a little bit easy to isolate right now. And I think that what I don't fully understand about the set piece defending is it is just lost tracked runners or just moments where you just lose the ball completely. Yeah. And I don't know where that comes from, to be completely honest. And it was, we saw this in the Washington game too, actually, where there were a lot of actually very well defended corners in that game, and then you get the one free kick and it goes in. So I don't know. It's an odd thing, but I want to go back though, and I do want to talk about Cook briefly, and we'll talk about Sarah Griffith in the Washington game, which is, I'll say this, I think that, and I've said this week after week after week, which is that Chicago's been competitive in every single game they played this season, which not every team can say that. I do think that there is this, we have not reestablished the hierarchy, I don't think, just yet after 2021 and the 2021 off season. I don't think people knew or know how things fit right now in terms of team to team. We've seen the expansion teams really benefit from that. That's why they're off to a hot start. And so I think that when you watch this game between Chicago and Portland, historically that's a game where someone goes, oh, one of these teams has a clear advantage. Or they're like, maybe Chicago can use their tactics to stop Portland, or maybe Chicago can use their individual dynamicism to counter Portland.
Yeah.
But this was not really that. This was like Chicago's young players, I think, are better than people expected. And I also think that some of these other teams that historically have been very dangerous are still struggling themselves. And so what's happening is I think we're seeing sort of an equalizing of, again, just competitiveness. I mean, I think you can argue the quality of the play all day long, but I do think that that's a lot of what we saw. Was Tatum Milazzo probably had her best game of the whole season against Sophia Smith in that game. Zoe Morris, as we mentioned, was really good. And Ava Cook can really play. Yeah.
She's out there balling.
Right.
I'm enjoying it so far. And like, it was something of note that like, I was just looking, I was like, God, I was like, there are like 6 first year, like that's the bench. The bench is 6 first year
a bunch of
right
rookies.
now. And it's just like, it's just something that I'm taking of note, not because I think it's like one of these things that makes the Chicago Red Stars weak, but it's because I'm very impressed.
It's cool
with what is happening right now with
1000%.
this team in 2022. But that's how the game ends out. It ends out in a 2-2 draw, and it was something that maybe wanted to keep an eye on, because it's like we knew that it was going to be the beginning of a long heavy match load for this team. Forward. And I mean, and that it was likely that we were going to see more rotation in this Wednesday game that we're going to talk about a little bit, and continue to see more new faces get more opportunities. Quite frankly,
1000%. And I think the other thing that we need to talk about in this Portland game, and I think also in the Washington game, because it's not something that we quite got, which is we need to talk about the veterans too.
Yeah,
because. And this was something that to their credit, we do kind of ask the team about this every week, because you get into post game and you go, wow, those rookies played great, right? And then they go like, yeah.
Like, how about them kids?
How about that? And then you say like, you talk to a veteran and you say, how have you been able to help them? And then Coach Petroselli is like, the veterans do an amazing job. And I mean, I think Alyssa Nair has been massive in goal, keeping that back three organized. I think we look at that tandem dual 6 of Vanessa DiBernardo and Danny Colaprico, I think. Yeah. And you looked at the point of contention in the midfield in that game, and it was actually further back. Portland's line of contention in the midfield was pushed a little bit further forward, so I'm sure they were happy with that. Their line of possession was a little bit more advanced than Chicago's was, but they struggled to turn that into dangerous chances in the run of play. And so I think that a lot of that credit is that you have Danny Colaprico, who has experience as a lone number 6, but who really is willing to get to, do all the dirty work to disrupt and to move the ball. And then you have Vanessa DiBernardo, who's a very funny fit for the defensive midfield, because she's not a physical player. She's like anti-physicality.
We've been covering.
She can play. I mean, she's been an NWSL player for years.
But it's
she can play.
It's also new for us as people who cover the team. We're like, man, like here's Vanessa DiBernardo, your defensive mid.
Right. But her passing is so good, and they're both actually good at forward passes specifically, which is really important. What we're not seeing is just something that we saw a lot last year, is we're not seeing the midfield just spray the ball wide and then they send lobbed crosses in. And so I think that a lot of that comes to smarter passing distribution through the midfield. And so Chicago right now is kind of a high efficiency chance team. So they're not generating a ton of shots, but their shots to shots on goal ratio is actually pretty good. And their SOG ratio to goal ratio is also pretty good.
And I'm into that.
Yeah.
I'm appreciating the quality that we're seeing versus like questionable.
But they're just like not
selection.
Crossing the ball at all, which I think is fascinating, because they were a heavy cross team last year.
Yeah. It's an adjustment. I don't know if it's maybe one that they've maybe it was one of those things that they took note of, and the coaching staff tried to change things around, and this is what we're seeing now with the new system in place. But I'm enjoying it, and I like that in this quick turnaround we didn't see too much shifting or changing around in terms of, people be feeling uncomfortable in it, especially the first year players.
So would you say, all right, I'm going to try an ad seg here. You ready, Sandra?
Oh, I'm ready.
Would you say that that you would bet on this team?
I would 100%
bet on this team.
Look, if you're going to bet on rookies this year, you should bet on Chicago's rookies.
I think
and
so.
if you've actually enjoyed what we've been talking about, I think the best way to support us is to go ahead and download that PointsBet app. There's a ton of you who are joining us right now. I noticed in the chat too, so we want to take the advantage to let you know that you can use code CHGO when you sign up. If you do that right now, you get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you will receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free T-shirt from your choice of the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free T-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making more than a $50 first-time deposit at PointBets. If you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you out. It's your home for live in-play betting, and it just got even better. Introducing PointBet's new feature. It's live NBA same-game parlay. NBA Finals. Make sure you tune in. It's already turning out to be incredibly dope. Yep. And for the first time ever, you can build a perfect live NBA same-game parlay with only PointsBet. You can combine your favorite PointsBet anytime during the game. And if you want more, you can boost your live same-game parlays. Watch live, parlay live, and boost live with PointsBet. And now, online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. So what are you waiting for?
Yes, and now we're just going to roll right into the next one. I think we should also say that today's show is being brought to you. This is a new one. Well, actually, I'm going to start with this. Sandra, did you know that today is National Donut Day?
You know what? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either until I went to Dunkin' Donuts to get my favorite order, which is medium iced coffee, 1 cream, 1 sugar. And they said, "Do you want a free donut?" And I said, "Yeah."
Oh, my God.
And then I realized that there were, balloons. And I was like, oh my gosh.
What are you celebrating?
Amazing. What's the celebration? It's National Donut Day. So you guys could go get a donut at Dunkin' Donuts, or what would be really a lot better for you is if, in fact, you got OWYN, which stands for Only What You Need, which is a 100% plant-based protein shake that gives you nutrition that works as hard as you do. All of their products are free of artificial ingredients, allergen-friendly, no gluten or dairy, easily digestible, way better for you than the glazed donut I had this morning.
Listen.
But probably equally delicious.
Listen.
So, I'm not a big, I have not someone, I've lived with people for a long time who do protein shakes, and it makes a huge difference. Taste makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And how it makes you feel makes a huge difference. And so if you're looking for a new brand, try OWYN. OWYN and CHGO have partnered up to give you an awesome offer, which is you can get 20% off your first purchase at liveowyn.com, which is live and then OWYN, onlywhatyouneed.com, with the code CHGO.
You know who else is going to be probably pounding those protein shakes? The Red Stars rookies.
That's so true. Well, they had to have been between Saturday and Wednesday's game, right?
Look, Wednesday's game, I don't know if both of these games ended in draws. We had the 2-2 draw with Portland Thorns, and then we had this game against Washington Spirit that ended in a 1-1 draw.
Yep.
Okay. But it kind of had a little bit of a different energy because I think with this one there was some definite player rotation, and we saw
hardcore
not just one but 2 rookies make their first regular season starts. Shout out to Sammy Fisher, Jill Aguilera, getting those starts out there and doing all right. They super did. I think the cool thing that they did is they played differently. So they put the rookies on, and they pressed really hard for the first 45 minutes. And so, we're just seeing some tactical maneuverability from the Red Stars that we haven't always seen. So they were like, so we don't have our beautiful possession-based players on the ball. But we do have rookies, and guess what rookies can do? What can rookies do? Run. So we're going to press them. That possession was not valued.
No, it was not at all. I was actually pretty impressed. I think both teams were hovering around 80% passing. Which is pretty impressive considering the field they were playing on, on Segra. But so they basically, and it makes sense because you cannot play possession-based football on that kind of a turf field. No. And so neither teams tried to do that.
I respect it.
100%. Yeah, 1,000%. And so I think in the first half, if Chicago could have played that way for the whole game, I actually think they probably walk away with 3 points. things broke down, I think, in the second half just due to tired legs. But, really impressed by Chicago's. Again, you talk about that point of contention, that pressing from the top, and it gave Washington a lot of problems. Now, the downside, unfortunately, is when you have a lot of first, second-year players doing that, you have to take your chances. And Chicago, unfortunately, only was able to take one. So,
Listen, I knew going into this game, I was like, there's gonna be player rotation. We're probably gonna see even more, new faces getting starts than we have been used to seeing in these early weeks of the regular season. But if we're breaking it down just half to half, I really liked what we saw out of the team in that first 45 minutes. Really just getting out there and taking the game to the Spirit. And listen, we got to talk about Seger Field as it is as a pitch, just because it's just not a great place to play a game of soccer. I mean, the Spirit themselves are like, you can just sort of see it in their body language. They're just like, this is not a field that we want to be playing on.
Yeah, they don't really, they didn't look like they felt like they could really execute to the best of their ability either.
Yeah. And I just am like, when I'm thinking about this, when I'm thinking back about this goal, it comes through in the opening 10 minutes, and it just was like, well, that's nice to sort of be able to have the reward after that very quick start. Yeah. And it's another goal for Ella Stevens.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's really great. I think, this is my whole counterpoint to when people say that, I've seen people say that the Red Stars are only going to go as far as Mallory Pugh takes them this year. And I think that that's the wrong way to look at it. Obviously Pugh is really important to them in the long run, but they are they're scoring about as much as everybody else is, and they're doing it. It's really being spread around. Ella Stevens has two goals. Griffith has a goal and an assist. Ava Cook has 3 assists and a goal. I think all of these players are coming together to get the job mostly done. I think Sarah Griffith had a great game too. I think you look at what Aguilera was able to do on the wings, and I think that you praise her versatility, and you hope that maybe she gets a chance to settle in one place, because I think that if she gets a chance to just sort of invest in one particular, BSG as well. Yeah, Courtney's right. Yeah, I think she has 2 goals. So they're spreading it around, and it's not just Mal Pugh. Now, as impressive as Pugh has been, she's scoring a lot. She's not the only person scoring for the team. Yeah. And if you look at the results that Chicago has gotten, she is not the one generating necessarily game winners. I think she did in Orlando, but I think that when you look at the points that Chicago has picked up, those points have been built on a couple really nice system goals, rookies stepping up, and a defensive performance that is like just good enough but needs a little bit more help from the attack to get 2 or 3 goals in a game as they get more settled. Because I'm not shocked that Chicago's not pitching shutouts right now. I don't think we should expect that of them. Yeah. But we should expect them to be able to win 3-1 or 3-2 with what they're generating right now.
It was I thought it was a delightful 86 minutes of soccer that we were watching from Chicago, just considering the conditions, right? We've talked about the fact that it was at Seger Field, talked about that it's on a quick turnaround. You're going from a Saturday to a Wednesday, and that there was room for these rookies to get out there and just sort of do their thing. Like, they were like, you could just see that they were kind of given the freedom to just go out there and play. And I don't know if there has been a game more than others for Sandra, where I've liked what we've seen out of Chicago and how they've been implementing their new formation this year. It has been a pleasant surprise, I think, for many people, maybe neutrals who watch this team. But I think for 2 of us who've been around for some years and in the trenches of some real stark Route 1 kind of stuff, this has been a kind of a real delight. And I think this game, more than any others, being able to see that it's working.
Right.
Because you're plugging in these players who are getting their first taste as professionals.
Right.
And they're going out there and they're executing.
Right.
And I think that's sort of been what's most, that I've enjoyed the most sort of watching this so far.
Right.
And then I'm saying jokingly that it was a great 86 minutes because this is when the equalizer comes for the Spirit. It comes in the 86th minute, and it comes again off of a dead ball situation where, we actually kind of didn't chat about this a little bit, but coming out of that Thorns game, we got to chat with Petroselli, we got to chat with Kayla Sharples, Mal Pugh, talking about that Thorns game, and Sharples expressed the frustration sometimes and maybe presenting a very good defensive plan, being organized.
She brought it up on her own, actually.
Yeah, being organized.
We didn't ask her about the set pieces.
And she was like, it sucks.
Yeah, we were like talking about, we said, how it was you guys closed the game out from minute 47 to the end, which is a step forward. Yep. It seemed like you guys were very good in space. And she's like, thank you. Set pieces.
We got to work on it.
Yeah, we were like, yeah.
So it's you have this other game.
Yeah.
So here's another game where the breakthrough comes through here. And then, I'm sorry, I forgot who it was, but someone screenshotted the moment in which it happened.
There was this, I think, Steph Young.
Yes.
She screen capped the moment, and then I think there were photos too.
Yeah.
Just everyone going
like flailing body parts. And it's just like
Sam Staub's arms were kind of like this. And she just kind of it was a header. I mean, kudos.
It wasn't headed in, it was faced.
It just kind of hit her face. Like she was just like, ooh. And
it wasn't, it was
whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes.
And that's all it took. I mean, at that point in the game, I think it's just one of these moments where it's just like, you're going to close out and it's going to be a draw.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that
right.
happens.
I do think that this one was a very classic, just like, don't let the scoreline be 1-0 in the 86th minute, and you won't draw 1-1. And we saw Sarah Lubert get her first NWSL minutes of the year. It does work out that time sometimes. I think even Pugh had a couple chances that could have gone in. So
sat in on post game now on Petroselli saying at that point in the second half they had made those planned subs coming right out of the second half.
Yeah,
that there was the potential for even more substitutions to be made, but they just sort of felt with the personnel on the pitch and the way the game was going that this was enough for the team to go ahead and perhaps try to pick up the win. And he praised Lubert, saying that she had a really good chance at one point and thought that the Pew was doing well, but it just didn't work out that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think the subs question, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you do heavy sub rotation and the sub gives something up, then you lost because of the subs. If you don't substitute and you give up a late equalizer, it's because you should have substituted. I don't think that that's a perfect science unless you see a clear and obvious need. But, I did think it was interesting. So Sarah Griffith did leave on a concussion sub, and Chicago didn't use it, though. Chicago only made 4 substitutes, actually of the available 5, and Washington made 6 because you get a reciprocal concussion sub if the other team uses one. And so I was like, you look at the difference there, and you look at the stretch that the Washington Spirit are in, and this is going to be relevant in next week's show because they're going to play them again between now and then.
Yep.
But Chris Ward is really trying to just any minutes that he can bring somebody off, he's going to do so. And so I think he made his extra step in stoppage time, I think, when both teams were just like 1-1. Okay, you know, and so I think that was an interesting choice. I think it was interesting to, I think both. Am I right? I have to be honest. I did not watch this one live. I went back and rewatched parts of it. Colaprico and DiBernardo both took a half, right? Is that right?
Yeah. That's so exactly what happened.
That's also a thing where it's like, honestly, it would be great to give one of them or both of them a whole game off, but you just can't. And so rotating for 45 for the two of them makes the most sense, probably. Yuki Nagasato's putting a lot of miles on.
Yeah.
She's really been out there filling a need for the team. So it'll be fascinating to see how that works out tomorrow.
I know.
Because
that's so quick.
I don't know how much Chicago's going to see the ball. And when you don't have the ball, you have to run a lot more. Yeah. So it'll be really, you talk about the enjoyable things as like a soccer nerd of this season. I'm really curious to see what Chicago decides to do in terms of their game plan. I don't know if I cannot imagine they'll have the legs to press. I think they're going to try to let the rain lull the game to sleep, and then you take your chances and hope that they don't take theirs, I think, is what you do. Kansas City put like 10 players behind the ball against the Reign in the midweek last week, and it almost worked.
It almost worked.
So
there's some tape out there.
Yeah.
There's some tape out there for them to take a look at in this preparation. But, I mean, did a brief look ahead, too, Petrocelli in the postgame. And he admitted, he said there's going to be some challenges for them in terms of something like player rotation going up against the Reign, that it's something that they're going to have to, he said, I believe it was, make some difficult choices in the postgame when asked about that.
Yeah.
Because I think you're also looking at, maybe the best individual matchups, right, for who's going to be, responsible for whom on the opposition. And when you're looking at the Reign, that's a pretty talented group.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll have to see how it plays out, right? And as of right now, we don't have the availability report for tomorrow as of yet. But it seems like this is a game where you would want Pugh to play a little bit more than she did in the midweek, perhaps. Maybe that's why you save Pugh a little bit. Whether Sarah
Griffith,
went from
45 to about 70, back to 45.
Back to 45,
yeah.
And I think that's just to make sure that you can use her in every game, because I think they're probably trying to avoid to have to sit her for a whole game at any point.
Yeah.
If they don't, it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do in the attacking midfield, because technically when Pugh is in, she's one of those attacking midfielders. They do have two good options in both Cook and Stevens, which is great for that kind of lone number 9. Can Yuki play? Can Sarah Griffiths came off, it was hopefully precautionary, but we don't know. She came off with a concussion sub, so possibly no Sarah Griffith. Will Aaron Wright ever return from war?
What is BSG feeling better?
Yes, I was gonna say maybe just not well enough to travel, but maybe she didn't.
Sarah Lubert get more minutes in this game?
Will
we ever see Chelsea Dauber?
That's the other thing too, is I'm not sure this is the right time to throw Dauber into the Sharks, man. I don't know.
That's
I say you play Chelsea Dauber against Orlando in a week.
I wouldn't hate it.
That's my take. I think that everyone's really excited to see Dauber, as am I. But I think you have to be really careful how you introduce
it. Chill.
Yeah, a little bit. You have to be careful how you introduce a player like that. We don't have a lot of background of her at this level. I think that, like, in her best interest, I'm sure when she is ready, she will play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it was during that Orlando game where we saw that she had already. She got a little bit of a knock in training, yeah. And it's just kind of like, well, love the energy, love the enthusiasm, going super hard in training, obviously.
Right.
And it's like, you haven't seen NWSL minutes yet, so it's just kind of like, well, maybe let's just like hit the pause button for
and I mean, I think if we're looking at Chicago's approach this season, well, this is something that they historically. It depends on the player. Historically, for some players, they've been really, really good about not forcing it. Some players they've relied upon a lot, maybe a little bit too much. And so I think that the tone this year is we have a lot of players who, as we said, can compete. They haven't lost in 3 games. If this is like the grind part of the schedule, they're grinding. They're doing a nice job. And so you don't have to. And you don't make the player feel like they have to. And I would say that with a player like Dauber, not Lubert, but a player like Dauber, she has to learn how to play against the Red Stars before she can learn how to play against anybody else.
Yeah, I don't think that's unfair.
Yeah.
I don't think that's unfair to bring up at all. It's definitely not criticism. We haven't seen
her
play yet, but I don't think that's unfair to bring up at all. And if anything, I think it's smart. It's a smart way to do that.
Everything I've heard from people in the league, players, I think one of the things that they wish that people at home were a little bit more understanding about was the time it takes to get up to speed.
Oh, yeah, it's tough
for rookies, for transfers,
It was like, I think it was actually fairly recent, chatting with Carson Pickett a little bit, who said that on another show. It was just like, she just put it out there. She was like, I can tell you flat out, there's like nothing that prepares you for the speed and the level of play.
Except maybe.
In the National Women's Soccer League.
Except maybe Strava Craft Coffee.
Could be. Pretty
good, right?
Could be. I mean, I've heard it's good stuff. I don't really know yet because, again, I have not been able.
Okay, but theoretically, a thing that might be able to help. All we can say, I can't say definitively, but a thing that might help if you need to get up to speed, is CBD coffee that doesn't make you drowsy or hungry, right? So if you want to start off your day with a competitive edge, which I'm sure you do, Strava CBD coffee is a game changer and has helped thousands of people to improve their overall wellness and quality of life. Strava delivers delicious fresh roasted specialty coffee infused with organic broad spectrum CBD. CBD from hemp doesn't make you high or hungry, but it does offer real benefits that can help you feel alert and focused without the jitters, live your day more balanced with less anxiety and fewer aches and pains. Plus, including CBD in your daily routine can even help you enjoy more restful sleep so that you wake up feeling your best. The best part. Strava is all about quality. Everything is small batch, fresh, and shipped straight to your door. Strava also offers concentrated full spectrum CBD, say it with me, tinctures for those looking for a more traditional CBD format with a powerful entourage effect of benefits. CHGO listeners can save 25% off of their entire purchase when you use the code CHGO25. That's 25% off your entire order at StravaCraftCoffee.com. When you use the code CHGO25 at checkout, discount coupon valid on non-subscription purchases only. One use per customer. Already love Strava? Subscribe and save with the Strava Coffee Club. With Strava, you're in control. Save on your favorite coffees and have them automatically delivered to your home or office on your preferred schedule. So, they're going to need that coffee tomorrow morning. You know why? Game's a bit early.
It's going to be early. So not only is it a quick turnaround, you're talking about 2 days, it's the game that's kicking off the quadruple header of games in NWSL. Yeah. So this one's going to be kicking off at 2 p.m. Central Time. Mm-hmm. And I hear Seattle's a pretty coffee big.
They do like coffee out there. It's true.
But maybe just to, sort of talk a little bit more about the opposition that the Red Stars will be facing. Oil Rain, been pretty active in their attacks. They've been struggling on the finishing side. I think this is not a team that has been going out there and posting up massive lopsided scores by any means, but that doesn't mean that they have not looked really good in their build-up. I have enjoyed watching this team and sort of their build-ups into the final third, their attack being played out wide with Huerta getting more involved in this stuff. She's having, quite frankly, a career year, and it's only still super early in the regular season. So there's going to be some individual battles that we're probably going to have to keep a close eye on.
Yeah, and this is also where, again, you would wish that the Red Stars would have a full week to train, because I genuinely believe that defensively right now, and it's not that they don't have a lot of weapons, but right now you need to man-mark Sofia Huerta. And I don't know if Chicago has the system in place to do that. Whether you assign a winger to Huerta, or you have just more help defense between your winger and your outside CB. But she's generating so much of their attack right now. And so obviously you focus on Huerta, that could leave Lavelle open, could leave Fishlock open, could leave a variety of other players open. But I've said this before, I've said this in other places. This league is not historically kind to teams tasked with who task attacking generation from their midfield. Yep. Usually you need a 9. You do. Yep. And so I think that's what the Reign is working on right now. And so the question is just, does that work in Chicago's favor or not? Or does Rose Lavelle just score? Is this going
to be the Rose Lavelle madness game?
Right. It could happen. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. She's done we've seen her do some pretty nifty things at Bridgeview. And we'll see what happens tomorrow. I know I'm going to try to make it out and see the Reign live going up against.
Yeah, people should come to the game. It should be a good one.
I know Claire is probably going to be there alongside me. And if you're local to the area and you have the opportunity, you should go and watch these two teams, because one, Chicago
1000%.
Red Stars, rule, go Red Stars, baby. But and number two, the Reign are a pretty good team themselves with some pretty talented pieces. So,
I think if we take fitness into out of the equation, the issue is obviously if you start DiBernardo and Colaprico together and either of them has to be subbed out, we've seen how that has forced a collapse in the defensive midfield in the past. If they can't both play at least 70 minutes, what do you do? But also, when you do have a team with such strong attacking midfielders, you really need specifically Colaprico out there. Yeah. And so hopefully she's feeling okay. And And then, I mean, isn't it fascinating, right? Because we're talking about the midfield battle. Chicago systemically is set up well to at least have the numbers to match. But I think, not unlike the Portland game, it might live or die on the wings. Specifically, perhaps in a dead ball situation.
Something to keep your eye.
Don't foul. See, this is the issue. You got a man mark Sofia Huerta, but you can't foul her. Don't foul her.
Well, we'll see. 90 minutes can feel like a agonizingly long time.
It's like what the Chicago Sky keeps saying. They're like, we're really good at defense when we don't foul. And I'm like,
yep,
ain't that the truth, baby?
Sometimes you gotta foul.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Who do you want to see maybe have a big game tomorrow?
This is so lazy, but I would like Malpew just to have another really good game. Yeah.
No, that's not lazy at all, because you know what?
It elevates the whole team when she's doing that.
Like still, this is good. Or Pride, Thorns, Spirit. This is only going to be your 4th game of the season. So same for me. I want to see Malpew have a massive.
Yeah, and just going to the chat. I mean, want to get into the chat a tiny bit. Up thread, John had asked if Morse had defensive experience. And the answer is yes, and they actually have originally, when she was first drafted,
she did a lot of that in Virginia.
We saw her as, she's both a center back. She was paired with Phoebe McClernand at University of Virginia, and they were a pretty formidable center back duo. And it's actually been interesting watching those two, watching the career trajectory of those two, because there was a feeling that McClernand might be the better prospect than Morse. But there's a lot of things about the way Morse plays that I just think is set up to have a long career in this league, not unlike someone like perhaps like a Katie Naughton. But so she played center back in Virginia, but she also played defensive midfielder. She did both. So I do think that originally when Morse was drafted, it was as a center back prospect. But I think that she just does have that. She does have that versatility. And then I do not think Kim Little will play tomorrow. I think they said expect her like by the 18th or something.
Yeah, but closer to that international
window, break. Yeah,
is when she's gonna try to probably be worked into their system.
Yeah, exactly.
OL. And Gatra, Brad. I don't think soon. I think they
were like maybe
a couple weeks. Yeah,
halfway through her recovery.
I think a couple weeks. They said they were gonna give her a timeline of 4 to 6 weeks.
That was maybe 3 weeks ago.
So if the ambitious part of the brain is saying soon for 4 weeks, maybe, but I would venture to say closer to 6 weeks.
If we're counting this 5-game stretch, I would say expect Gatra after that.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to get her anywhere near involved for the next week.
I would say like July is
yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too. Maybe you do ride it until the June international break, and then everybody gets a little bit of a breather, and then she can come back feeling really good after that. So, but I mean, I think that we're going to see transfer window opened this week. I have no idea if Chicago they must have their tabs on somebody because they traded for an international spot. But I think we're going to see an infusion of talent. I think we're going to see some trades. I think we're going to see some players come in, not just in Chicago, but elsewhere. And that'll give us a little bit of a refreshed feeling as well, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope everyone else is looking forward to it. I hope everyone enjoys what we have been chatting about.
I hope everyone just enjoys this team. You know, my expectations are not we're going to win everything this year, but what they're doing is really impressive in its own way.
Yes.
And I do hope that everybody is enjoying it.
We're watching a team that had, next to the Washington Spirit, whom they just played, had the longest 2021. And so it was like kind of fitting that we just watch these two teams play each other and be kind of exhausted towards the latter stage of it in a midweek match, because they are both two teams that had the longest season in 2021. We're talking February through November, and then in turn have the shortest off season, and now, which probably means like having the shortest time to prep for a next season. And we're watching this Red Stars teams with not a lot of expectation placed on them because they have a lot of first year players. And you know what? I think it's working out pretty nicely so far. We're getting some real treats.
We will wrap this up, but I also just want to say a big congrats to Kalia and JJ Watt. Speaking of first-year players, we're going to have some real first-year players next year. We're going to have some literal first-year players next year. We're going to have three babies. I love it. I love to see it. You love to see it.
Yeah, we love to see it for sure. There's lots to celebrate and be excited for.
It's true.
If you're following this Red Stars squad.
Yep.
And we're happy that you are following them and by extension following us for all kinds of Red Stars content. If you have enjoyed what we've been chatting about here on CHGO Red Stars, just know that one of the best ways for you to support is with a CHGO membership. You get access to the podcast and live shows on all the teams, not just the Red Stars. There's going to be some post-game content for you all. There's premium written content from a friend, homie, and colleague, Claire Watkins, for all members at allchgo.com. There's all kinds of dope merch representing all the teams as well. And you get a free shirt when you become a member. And you get access to a members-only Discord.
It's
the
true.
CHGO Lounge.
Yeah, the games have been kind of fast and furious, but we've got some stuff in the works, so stay tuned.
Go Red Stars.
All right, go Red Stars. Thanks, everybody.